Welcome. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Erin.
And this is the Getaways Podcast. We get to talk about New Year's today.
Yay, New Year's.
New Year's all over Europe. Okay, wait, I don't think I've ever asked you this, but growing up, were you a fan of New Year's?
No. It wasn't anything that was big in our house. My parents would go to bed and I would usually stay up and just watch horror movies. But yeah, no, it wasn't a big thing.
Yeah, I've never been a huge big fan. And even the what was it called? Y2K?
Yeah.
You went to a big party and I sat home and was pleased as can be to be in my pajamas watching television. But yeah, no, it's never been a big thing. I've never had a good one until I moved to Europe.
My first good one was the year before Y2K when I went to Amsterdam with my friends Sam and Andre, and it was crazy. I think that was my first introduction to really big New Year's. I was in my 20s. It was crazy. It was wild. And then the next year was Y2K, and that was quite a party.
All right. So speaking of wild, can we talk about together our very first New Year's in Europe?
In Europe, yeah. When we lived in Florence, and
Nope. We lived in LA, and we were on vacation in Cortona.
Oh yeah, we went to Cortona for New Year's right after Christmas, and it was actually what inspired our move, was just being there. But we went to Cortona and we had this great house,
enormous villa in the hills,
right up
so
the
pretty.
hills from the city.
It was like farmland up there. It was very close to the city, but it was very rural up there, right? I mean, I saw hunters. Was
when we do the Cortona episode, we'll go deeper into it. But it was crazy in its own self. So we went to Florence for the day to go to the Uffizi, and it's the first time I had ever been to Florence. You'd been to Florence before,
I had, yeah.
And we got to the museum, and we were there probably 10 minutes.
Yeah, because there was a line outside, so we were standing out waiting to get in. Remember? And it started.
But we were inside. I remember being inside and looking out the window on the staircase, and these huge flakes of snow started coming down. And I looked at Lisa. I was like, "Oh God, we got to go," because it's an hour to Cortona, and we're from California, so we didn't driving in snow. I grew up in snow, but it had been many, many years. So we took off and got to Cortona about 5:00.
Yeah, which was, we're talking about in the end of December. So it was very, very close to pitch black, right?
Yeah.
As we're driving up the hill to get to the villa above Cortona, when we get stuck. We get stuck in the snow. And so I get out and I was like, I can handle this. I'll put on the chains that are in the trunk. Yeah, I couldn't do that. Some elderly Italian man stopped and tried to help us, and we put them on the wrong tires.
And his wife was so mad that he stopped. So mad. We weren't the only ones stuck on the road.
True.
Right here.
True. So we didn't know what to do. We didn't know anybody to call. We had, no options. So we called the people, the guy who was the brother or something.
It was the brother of the Airbnb host.
So he came and got us, and he was like, okay, let's go. Let's just set you up somewhere. So he drove us down into Cortona, and, we just had the shirts on our back, really. I mean, we didn't have any overnight stuff because we weren't expecting to be. We're coming into Cortona, and he starts taking us to all these hotels.
There's 3 in Cortona.
Every single one is booked to the gills.
Laughable.
So,
Laughable that we were even asking.
Yeah. So then we're like, okay, well, what in the heck are we going to do for tonight? And he goes, well, I do have a friend that's out of town. He goes, so you could probably stay there. And we're like, okay, we're going to squat in this guy's house overnight. But we literally had no other options. So we did. He opened the door for us. We went to this little restaurant, or it wasn't even a restaurant. It was like a bar, right?
Yeah.
He made us a plate of food.
It was great.
And so we brought that back, and we sat in this stranger's living room and had our own little version. And then at the strike of midnight, we went outside and just started running around the streets, and everybody was out and they were lighting fireworks and celebrating, and in the squares, just having this big party. And it was just such a random introduction and not planned at all, but it was so a glimpse of what New Year's is all across Europe, right? I mean, I think
it was pretty magical. I mean, the whole thing was amazing. we couldn't have asked for a better New Year's. It was very stressful.
It was stressful. I could have asked for a little less stress in my New Year's.
But the house was lovely. Dylan got to have a nice bath. It was great.
But I think that that's one of the common themes of all the places that we've experienced in Europe for New Year's is fireworks. And they are everywhere. And, I grew up in LA where it's like drought central, right? Like you cannot set off your own fireworks. Like that is a big, fat, huge, illegal no-no. And that is not the case here.
Well, I grew up in Oklahoma where we did do our own fireworks, but only for the 4th of July. It was never a New Year's thing. Right.
And not only is it common here, but it's everywhere. I mean, every age, everybody in general has their own fireworks, setting off their own fireworks, in addition to like the big displays in the big cities like over the rivers and whatever, which are extraordinary, but it's not limited to the professional version. It is everybody on the street setting up and lighting fireworks. So our first true year of living in Europe, our New Year's Eve was in Florence, and we were in our apartment. I had gone to bed. I don't know if you guys had.
No, you went to bed.
Because that's what I do.
Big partier over there. I think we may have gone to bed.
But, okay, so then we had Cash, who was the pit bull mix, and he got grumbly, and all of a sudden, like, everything got so loud, and it was bananas. So we ran to the window.
Our apartment was in the square that the Duomo's in, and it overlooked the Duomo, which was amazing and wasn't amazing at the same time. So, but that's where everything happens in New Year's in Florence. So, but we weren't prepared.
Anytime in Florence, really.
We weren't prepared.
We were not prepared. So you have to tell more of the story than me because I was trying to prevent a pit bull from jumping out the window to add all the racket. Remember?
Yeah, we just started hearing racket downstairs and like fireworks. And like I said, we had just moved to Florence. We had been there maybe 4 months. And so fireworks was still something that was quite shocking to us. And so Dylan and I jumped up. He was 9 at the time. And we jumped up and ran into the living room. And the square was packed with people. And they were like, had circles around big fire, not homemade, but like
bonfires.
Bonfires. And people had like big firework displays that they did themselves. And it was crazy. And like, it looked like the end of the days because people like had mobikes, the bike rentals, and they were throwing them in the fires, and it went on forever. So Dylan and I opened the windows, and all of a sudden our pit bull starts charging the window and tries to jump out the window. And we're on the 4th floor. And so that was crazy. So then Lisa spent the rest of the night in her room holding him back. And we only like watched for like a half an hour, but it went on for hours.
Yeah. No, hours. And it was really like when you say throwing the bikes and stuff, but there was no like violence. No. There was no danger. It was just people being dumb and having fun. Well, and that was the worst of the destruction was like one mobike.
I will say one thing that I would like to add, that when we woke up the next morning, completely clean.
Well,
didn't even have any idea.
This is a total side note that has nothing to do with New Year's Eve, but Florence in general is one of the cleanest places. Like every morning when I would walk the dog, like at the crack of dawn, it was me and the cleaning guys out on the street, and they come with these like big, like vacuumy things, and like they sanitize the whole city. It's bananas, but it's always clean. So that was our first experience with like living there and New Year's. And then the next year
we moved to Torino. And so the next year we went to Vienna, right?
That was the next year, I think. Yeah.
We wanted to do a big like hotel party. Dylan was 11. Okay, so he was 10 in Florence. He was 11. He was really into like social things. And so we wanted to do like a big New Year's event.
And that I think was, well, I've had 2 favorites, but Vienna was definitely number 1 or 2 of my favorite New Year's. But we stayed at, what was the name of that hotel?
The Riding School.
It was a Marriott owned though, wasn't it?
It was a nice hotel.
It was a nice hotel. They did a fantastic buffet for dinner that was like fancy. You know, you could like get dressed up and go downstairs and have like a nice meal. And then there was a DJ and dancing all night. And
there was a party for adults upstairs in a ballroom, but it was in the lobby.
Right.
The DJ and dancing was for
right.
families, basically.
Right. And so we had the best time. Like Dylan and I danced for hours and hours and hours, and it was really, really fun. And then right at New Year's, now Cash, the pit bull, was upstairs in our room while we went downstairs to have dinner. So we went up to be with him during the fireworks. And again, I'm holding him, trying to like keep him calm. So you guys saw the fireworks, but the Christmas market was still going too. So that was like, I mean, the whole day was just really special. And New Year's Day, Vienna is magical in that time. And again, it's the fireworks. It was the hotel experience was fantastic. And the first time that I had ever done anything like that. So it definitely changed my sort of vision of New Year's. Like it was fun, and it was
a big celebration. It was an event. And so that did make our trips different.
Yeah,
from
for
then
sure.
on out.
For sure. And the next one was my other favorite.
Yeah, so we really loved the whole event aspect of New Year's. So we drove to
Prague the next year, and what was that hotel?
We stayed. It was a Hilton.
It was a Hilton?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, just right outside of the city center. So the hotel was really interesting because it was sort of almost set up like with the rooms and the seating of what the arena, like if it was shaped like an arena, the rooms were around the edge, and the middle was kind of a big atrium.
Courtyardy.
Yeah,
with the restaurants and everything.
But a glass ceiling too. So it was cool. And they set up the biggest, coolest, funnest party ever. And the theme was
The Greatest Showman.
Yeah, and it was incredible. There were people, like performers everywhere. There was like 3 different stages. I mean, it was an amazing buffet.
It wasn't as fancy.
No, but that's okay.
It was very family friendly. It wasn't as fancy as Vienna, but it was fun. It was great.
Yeah, it was. I loved it. I thought it was.
I did get a touch of the food poisoning.
Yeah, but I did not. So I enjoyed myself. But yeah, I think that was a really fantastic. And again, like the city was all as fancy as can be with
the markets were still open.
All the lights, all the fireworks, it's just.
We went ice skating the next day. It was also very special.
Yeah, it was.
Which is going to lead us to 2020 and 2021 New Year's.
Which was special in its own COVID way.
We spent New Year's 2020 at our house, and a family that was a friend of ours came over, snuck out of the house. I wasn't there a curfew that night, didn't they let people go out?
Yeah, and you could only have one other family come. They didn't sneak over. You were allowed to have one visitor or one family visitor.
So they came over, and I think they got to stay till I think the curfew was 10 or something. So we had a really nice dinner.
Yeah. So celebrating in Italy during COVID sort of led us to dig in a little bit to the customs and traditions of Italy at New Year's. And one of the things was food, which we actually had that night with our friends.
So lentils is a big thing because it represents coins. So
money.
It's supposed to bring you wealth in the new year. And there's a pork sausage that's called cotechino. I think that's how you say it. That it's odd, but it was quite good.
It was good, yeah. And that represents wealth and prosperity too. So those 2 foods were sort of supposed to bring, financial goodness in the next year.
It didn't.
We tried as much as we could, but it didn't quite work out that way.
High cholesterol, but no extra money.
And then the other thing, which we have, which we had read about, and we
keep up.
We try, is that you are supposed to gift red underwear to the people around you to bring good luck in love for the coming year.
So again, every year, no matter where we are, it's a mad rush to try to find red underwear.
We keep trying. We're waiting for the mother load to come in.
It's like all compiling up, and it's just going to hit all at once.
But we highly recommend giving those things a shot. But each country has their own like sort of specific special traditions like that. So whenever we're in another country, we always sort of try and look and see what the local things are. And maybe we can list some of our favorites on the website.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. So in 2021, we replaned Budapest again. And then
keep trying Budapest.
Yeah, and then some like weird, like was it political stuff? There was some weird stuff that it was happening in Budapest at the time where we didn't feel like it was the right time to go. So we decided we were going to go to Florence for New Year, stay in Italy. We loved Florence. So we booked this great house in Florence. And leading up to right before Christmas, we went to Sestriere to the ski resort, and Dylan skied, and we had, some time in the snow, and we got COVID.
And some time indoors to catch COVID.
So we got COVID. So that New Year's was spent in Torino in our apartment.
With a single balloon, I think.
Yeah, it was sick kid on the couch. It was not, that wasn't one of our better New Year's.
No, it was not. And then 2 years ago, we were in the Cotswolds. We went to the UK. And that is just an incredibly charming, beautiful place to celebrate anything. But the start of the year is really lovely there, and it's very cozy. And we had sort of a weird dinner.
We went to a steakhouse that it turned out it's where call girls took their customers, their high-paying customers. So it was a little weird, but it was good.
It was okay. But it's hard. I mean, I guess that's one of the things that we can talk about later too. That like the takeaway is for New Year's in Europe, you need to plan.
Oh yes.
And we're not always good at that. So, we probably would have done a little bit more research and picked somewhere different if we had other options. But we were a little late in the game.
Like we already have 3 options planned for Florence this year.
Yeah. So, planning and reserving well in advance is key to many of these places.
And then we just went back to the house. We had this really nice house on a park. And I think we were just like going to just chill. Our friend Katie and I were going to watch game shows.
I was in bed. Shocking.
Yeah, Lisa in bed. And then a bunch of fireworks started happening in the park. So Katie and I went out there for that.
But yeah, so lovely, charming. Definitely, we were out in the country, so it was a little more mellow than some of our city trips, but definitely cool and cozy and charming.
Last year,
we
went to Strasbourg.
Oh, right.
I'm going to say this again. This is going to be shocking for everybody, but Lisa was in bed early.
I was sick, to be fair.
She had pneumonia.
We
went
pneumonia.
for the Christmas markets because, as our last podcast, the Christmas markets there are like just out of this world. So we went for that, and we decided to do dinner at home. We were just all tired. Lisa was really sick.
I was really sick.
So we got, what did we get?
Cheese. Got that huge cheese board.
Did we just do cheese?
Yeah.
So we got this really amazing cheese board in Strasbourg and some...
Nothing better than French cheese.
Some red wine and probably some champagne. Yeah, we got champagne.
Yeah, I did not drink any champagne.
Yeah, Lisa was very sick. So Dylan and I stayed out till midnight, and we had sparklers, and we went outside with the sparklers. There was not a lot of there was a little in the distance, but not a lot of fireworks out in the country, because this was out in the country in France too. So we like to stay out, which we're not doing this year.
Yeah, so this year we're returning to Florence, and we've already, like Erin said, we've made 3 reservations for dinner. We just want to have like a really nice, fun dinner, and then, watch the fireworks. There's supposed to be some events in Piazza Signoria, and maybe catch some fireworks. Again, we'll have Rex with us, so we need to be a little careful around midnight.
He's way better than our pit bull.
He is.
With the fireworks.
He is, but just, again, like if you're traveling, and especially if you're traveling with your dog, something to be aware of, that the fireworks, because they're everywhere, like just make sure you're taking care of your dog or anyone that might be sensitive to that kind of sound, because there's no getting away from it.
Yeah. Where are some places that we haven't been that you want to try to get to?
Well, we just got back from Edinburgh in Scotland, and I would imagine that they do a really, really nice New Year's Eve.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I definitely want to go there. I still want to get to Budapest.
No, I know. And where I will always say I want to spend every holiday?
Copenhagen.
Yeah, I mean, I just like the cozy vibes and the water and the amusement park. I mean, it's all just sort of perfect for any sort of celebration.
And I'd say I could totally do Vienna or Prague over again, because
for sure,
they're just very special.
For sure. And so, I know we talked about the hotels and stuff and doing parties, but the reality is that as long as you figure out, I mean, the core things that are like the events here in New Year's is a good dinner and the fireworks. I mean, and being around people, your family and friends and whatever. But I mean, it's not like, it's not a holiday of extravagance, I feel like here. It's those elements put together. It's like just being outdoors and celebrating together.
Yeah.
So yes, planning is important, but also like it doesn't need to be extraordinary, because you can just go walk out your door.
Because it's extraordinary enough just being in the city, and because being with the people,
and because they decorate so well, and everybody's just enjoying themselves and happy and out, and it's really kind of cool. And like I said, the traditions like are different in every country, but those are the commonalities, and we'll hit you with the specific traditions. But
yeah, and up on the podcast this week we'll have all the different traditions in every country, because there's some strange ones.
Yeah,
but they're all fun.
Yeah, and it's fun to learn about other countries and how they do, because there wasn't, like I didn't grow up with a lot of traditions on the holiday, so it's nice to sort of see and experience that and what other countries do. But yeah, we hope that New Year's Eve is great for you, and thanks for tuning in. We appreciate having you here, and check out our website,
thegetaways.com. That's GETAWAYZ.com.
and we will catch you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.